Gremlins and Goblins, welcome back! Daddy missed you. Today, we will be covering the original sin, the first VN I ever played, Katawa Shoujo. The game starts off with us standing in a field waiting for our crush. As she arrives like any normal social reject, we promptly have a heart attack. Yes, that's actually the intro to the game. We then find out we have a severe arrhythmia, and after many surgeries and a laundry list of medications, we are unceremoniously transferred to a school that caters to disabled students. We are then introduced to a painting that will forever live rent-free in our head, before being given the choice to introduce ourselves to the class. We take it and become acquainted with Shizune, the class rep, and her interpreter, Misha. They show us to the nurse's office, and unlike making lovers, we are almost immediately introduced to Husbando Actual. After he charms our socks off, we proceed to our room, running into Kenji along the way. We spend the remainder of our day productively moping in our new dorm. The next day, Shizune and Misha try to gently bully us into joining the student council, but I'm not some goody two-shoes nerd, so that's not happening. Following this, we get lost on the way to the library and run into Lily. After a spot of tea, she shows us to the library, where we scare off Hanako simply by existing. This naturally puts us in a bad mood, because brooding is our favorite pastime. As we return to our room, Kenji catches us and decisively informs us that he is hella red-pilled and super based. We then deftly get the hell away from him before he converts us to a bleak future of involuntary celibacy. The next day, we notice Hanako working alone and are presented with the option to try and talk to her. I've always wanted to play her route, but I have so many train jokes planned. Also the lemons. You'll understand later. And by later I mean now. The Emmy train has finally arrived, and the only brakes are our delicate chest safeguarding our life-threatening heart condition. After being run over by Emmy, we learn that Shizune is an actual no-fun-allowed zone. Following this, our teacher dumps Misha into our lap. Misha then dumps a list of supplies for the festival into our lap. Rin then assumes our condition resides within our lap. All this lap talk is casting some sort of foreshadow. We then give Rin a hand. Don't you dare cry about that joke, Rin would have laughed. The nurse then scolds us for being lazy, so the next day we meet Emmy at the track. See? Laps? Get it? And are somehow surprised that running is hard after spending months in the hospital. If you haven't realized by now, this is an Emmy Supreme playthrough. If you don't like that, just remember, when life gives you lemons, try anal. Wait, what? Also, a quick reminder that this game came out a long time ago. I was in high school when I played it, and I'm a fucking dinosaur. And its native resolution is 800 by 600. I could probably find a way to fix it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what I'm doing. Kenji then sneaks up on us in the bathroom, and we receive a dialogue line that has aged like a fine vintage milk carton in the Sahara, and a line that triggers my spicy memories. We arrive at school just in time to watch the shonen pre-fight speech scene between Lily and Shizune. After backing the side of heaven, we are recognized by our crotch alone. Hashtag relatable, am I right? No? Oh, that's unfortunate. Sorry. We then race Emmy, because mama didn't raise no bitch. This obviously backfires, and we end up getting chewed out by the nurse. What the fuck is that thing? I've never noticed that before. We then proceed to meet Emmy and Rin on the roof for lunch. Turns out they live next to each other in the dorms because the staff member watched too much Dragon Ball Z and saw a possible fusion opportunity. We then expertly point out that Rin has no arms. If it makes you feel any better, I suffer from memory loss for, reasons, and have the musculoskeletal integrity of a geriatric bodybuilder, so God is actively punishing me for my transgressions. It is now the day before the festival, and the Emmy tow service quite literally drags us all over the map on fetch quests for Rin's mural. Along the way, we find out that Kenji was right all along. The festival has begun, and Emmy quickly spots us trying to induce cardiac arrest via delicious fried treats. After putting the kibosh on our crusade against our circulatory systems, we check out Rin's mural and see that she knew years in advance that feet could be used as a form of currency when dealing with the mutated internet goblins of the far future. After eating a healthy lunch with Emmy and Rin, we are firmly reminded that we are going on a diet and running with Emmy every morning. Then we get a full anime intro to our blooming relationship. After that, we begin Act 2. There are 5 acts in total, so this is gonna take a minute. The next 2 runs pass by uneventfully, but the third almost kills us. As we're about to die, we do our best cringe Joker impression, because why the hell not? After being checked by the nurse, he casually makes a pass at us. Yes, please. The following day, we almost forget to attend Emmy's track meet. When we arrive, we are immediately cast into territory. We then proceed to ask Emmy's mother questions that should have been pieced together easily with the prior context clues presented to us. Naturally, she becomes uncomfortable and leaves to go hang out with Esteban, the pool guy, who she's totally just friends with. As Emmy runs the final relay, we notice that she's injured. Rin notices that we notice and promptly injures us for asking Emmy about her injury. What the fuck? After this, we get told to take it easy by Husbando. It's not as if we've had multiple scares within an extremely narrow window of time or anything. We then immediately make a move on an emotionally compromised Emmy. The following day, we find out that Emmy has a fantastic sense of humor. As we arrive to our room, we come across a letter from that hussy who nearly killed us at the beginning of the game. We ignore it and head out to meet Emmy and Rin for a picnic. Emmy then threatens the sky. The following day, we don't find Emmy at the track. Looks like threatening the sky wasn't such a good idea after all. According to the nurse, she's in her room, sick, so we channel our inner Steve Irwin, rest in paradise you god, track her down, and wrestle her. She later falls asleep on our chest while having a nightmare about her accident. Like the absolute caveman we are, we once again fail to put 2 and 2 together. After our morning run, we proceed to blackmail the nurse into telling us about Emmy and the track captain's relationship because we're jealous and toxic. Later at lunch, Emmy makes the first move on us because, like making lovers, we, the protag, are absolutely useless when it comes to taking initiative. On to Act 3. Stu Pickles gives us a Stephen Hawking's book because science. We then go on a picnic with Emmy. On our way back, we notice that she's still injured. She casually brushes us off, but the following day after our run, it becomes apparent that she's pretty badly hurt. Naturally, she avoids the nurse, leaving us to cover. We immediately fold under the sexual tension of Husbando and spill our guts. After another rooftop lunch break, we get caught by the no-fun police for a public display of affection. Emmy later calls us in a panic, so we come running. Her leg had become infected, leaving her temporarily in a wheelchair, so we do the gentlemanly thing and shove her off the bed. She responds with a sharp headbutt. Since violence is always the answer, Emmy becomes aroused. After grinding on our sick corduroy pants, we both enter the land of ecstasy. No, not Coachella. Rin then barges in and completely ignores the fact that we are both topless and sweaty. Why? Because she needed to see a cloud. The next morning, Emmy drops the world's most obvious hint that she wants to bump uglies, and for the 50th time in 2 videos, we completely miss the fucking point. That doesn't deter her, however, and she drags us to a supply shed the track captain uses when he feels like getting his cheeks clapped. We commandeer his lemon-flavored lubricant. I feel like citrus and anal are a bad combination personally, but go wild, I guess? Emmy then decides anal would be a totally cool thing to try in a supply shed in the middle of what I can only assume is a hot summer's day. Gonna smell like lemon-peppered cheeks for a week for this freak. She quickly realizes the error of her ways. Emmy later shows up at our room to inform us that she needs to stay away from us until after the exams. right after the Citras incident. Interesting. Told you there would be lemon jokes. The time flies by because it's not important to the plot, and presto, the exams are over. Stu Pickles then gives us the literal answer we've been searching for in regards to figuring out what Emmy's deal is. We obviously ignore it because loudly breathing through your mouth is what all the cool kids are doing. Later, we ask the same stupid questions we've been asking all game to Emmy. She gets fed up with us, obviously, and tells us she can't rely on us. And honestly, she's right. If the Prodag didn't have actual screen time in the game confirming him as a human, I could just as easily picture him as a cinder block. Naturally, he leaves to go mope in his room about the whole situation. For the next few days, Emmy just straight up pretends everything is chill. I love this VN to death, but in retrospect, the protagonist they wrote doesn't really deserve the good ending with Emmy. She may be a stubborn asshole sometimes, but they made Hisao so ridiculously brain-dead and unlikable in her route. After another awkward morning run, we ask the nurse what Emmy's deal is, because putting 2 and 2 together is actually equivalent to creating a true perpetual motion machine for Hisao, to which he basically gives us another freebie answer. Being the literal amalgamation of silica we are, we can actually choose to ignore Emmy's mother's advice as well. We don't, since the game finally gives us the option not to be a brick. Emmy then walks in and misunderstands the whole conversation, which results in us finally opening our ears and making the correct decision. The next few days, we don't spend much time with Emmy. That is, until we confront her on the roof. She breaks down and invites us to visit her father. I know I've been pretty vague, but it should be obvious that Emmy's father died in the car crash for anyone with at least 2 semi-functional neurons. However, Hisao apparently lacks any form of higher brain function and is somehow blown away when we visit her father's grave. Emmy then tells us she tried to keep us at a distance because she was afraid to lose us too, which honestly makes plenty of sense due to the fact that our heart is a ticking time bomb. We reply with a somewhat coherent speech about the benefits of living in the moment. We return to the dorms and smash basically immediately because the devs clearly needed to cram one more H scene into this surprisingly heavy game to appease the literal subhumans who just click through until they see a boob. Seriously? Have you never just considered Googling hentai? And there you have it, the Emmy Supreme Good Indie. I rate this game, the future is now, old man, out of my dad thinking my first crush being an anime girl was just some sort of silly phase. It's true, he showed me Robotech when I was in first grade, and the scene where Max and Miria kiss after fighting was the moment I developed my first crush. Ah, Miria, the true original sin. Coming up next, Apex, or Sea of Thieves, or GTFO or something. Tune in next time for another Doom Corp-sponsored fever dream.
In the game, step that wolf, a gorilla, and I put the fruit snacks as I exit a villa. Got a trunk full of guns, I'm a certified killer, and I said she the one, then I dip like a villain. Yeah, she thinks she can fix me, well there's a dilemma, cause I flex on her ex like a stick and vanilla. You can find me on the block, you can't find nobody real. I'm the old school kid, like some red and black fillers. I got these black, low top, Air Force energy. I've been with some gremlins and some goblins with that energy. I know natural predators, I barely have enemies. I kill them all so quick, the fucking kids don't even remember me. Yeah.